Hello everyone, and then welcome to the continuation of our project on the soil moisture sensor. Okay. So in our previous lesson, we actually worked on the setup for our soil moisture program. Now I'm going to explain each line of code just so we know what is actually happening. So I'm going to connect my Arduino device, okay, and then I'll check the serial monitor so that we see what is happening. Let's check the serial monitor to see what is happening. Okay, so I'm going to pause this. Okay, so you can see what is happening. You can see we are reading some values from our sensor. Okay, so wet, dry soil, and the likes. Okay, so this is made possible because of the line of codes we've written here. So that said, let's get started explaining the codes. So in our first line of code, we have what an integer value or an integer type. And then the value or the variable is called or moisture signal, whichever name you can decide to use any name of your choice. Okay. In my case, I'm using moisture underscore signal. And then I'm assigning it a value of what? A0. Okay, so A0, which is the analog for which in our previous lesson we connected our device to. Okay, so A0. And then that value is going to be stored inside our moisture signal as an integer. Okay. Then in our second line of code, we are actually creating a variable called what moisture underscore dig underscore signal. Similarly, you can use any name of your choice. And then we assign it a value of 4. Okay, that value is also going to be an integer. And then we've created an integer called what sensor underscore states, assign it a value of 1. Now in our setup, that's our void setup. We want to declare our pin. So our pin is going to be our moisture dig signal. Okay, moisture underscore dig underscore signal, which is this particular pin. Okay, so on our it's an input device. Okay, it's an input device, not an output device. Okay, then we want to give it we want to print out the values. Okay, so the serial.begin, okay, 9600 is going to communicate with our serial monitor as you see here, giving us the reading. Okay. So now in this line of code, that's our void loop. Okay, we created an integer called moisture. And then the moisture is going to read our analog values, okay, from our moisture signal, which we have declared here. Okay, so you're going to read that value from it, okay, and then we want to print that value. So in printing that value, okay, this is what we get, the numerical ones. Okay, so the numerical ones are our analog values, okay, which is our moisture. Okay, so this value is stored inside, or whatever is read, okay, is stored inside our moisture variable. Okay, and then we want to print that value out. So to print that out, first we want to print our serial moisture level, and then should print our moisture. Okay, so we want it to be on the same line. So moisture, so you can see it prints soil moisture level and then the moisture. So the value that is being read, okay, is being read. And then we'll give it a delay. Okay, so the purpose of the delay is supposed to make it like some millisecond as a second. So 1000 milliseconds is a second, just so we don't have it reading fast. Okay, other than that, we wouldn't even see what is happening. So in the next line of code, which is our serial.print soil moisture level, this time around we want to what? Read our dictal values. We want to read dictal values, okay, which is 1 and then 0. Okay, so those values are going to be stored inside our sensor state. Remember, we declared the sensor states here, and then we declared a dictal variable here. Okay, so in our sensor states, which is here, this value is going to be stored inside our sensor state. Okay, so if we want to test, or so this is a condition, if the sensor state reads a value of 1, then it should print what? Wet soil. Okay, so in our sensor state we stated 1, so we want to alternate between zeros and ones. Okay, so 1 is going to be our two values. Okay, so let's say on and off, good and bad, what else, um, man and animals. So in our case, we want to do wet soil and then dry soil. So if that state is 1, okay, maybe the 1 is wet soil, so we stated here wet soil. So 1 means wet soil, That's what we stated. And then what, zero or any other value means dry soil, or zero means dry soil. So if I check our serial prints, you can see we have wet soil and then we have dry soil. So these are the two values that we have here, declared here or stated here or written in our program. Okay. So if sensor states is 1, then it should print wet soil, else print what, dry soil. Okay. And then it's going to loop through. So this line of code is just the same repeats for this one. Okay. So it's going to go, once it reaches the end of the code, we'll come back, go through, and then read the same thing, perform the same action, so you disconnect the sensor. So basically, this is our soil moisture sensor. You might want to experiment more. Maybe you might want to try advancing it, maybe in some kind of IoT device, or you might want to create a mobile application to communicate with this. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and then I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.